Before I talk about the importance of what happened in 56, excuse me, I want to mention the fact that you imagine being these kids, right, who have come to integrate this high school and hearing that there was something akin to a mob out front and what that meant and what that could mean and the fear it had to engender in them and in their family. And this was a struggle. Like, September 4th is the big day because that's the day that the protest is largely crushed. There's one other incident that's going to happen by the action by the school board that week, which will sort of kill the rest of it. But these kids dealt with racial discrimination in this building. And the teachers tried to, sort of calm the situation down here. And just the craziness that they had to go through, and the extra everything that had to happen. And, the difficulty as they went through school here and they get a B on something, they thought they did a good job. Well, did I get a B on something because of my color, or did I get a B on something because it's a B? That kind of stuff, and the interpersonal stuff, and all of the things that these children had to deal with. And this was a junior and senior. These were not older kids necessarily. This was, so there's it's a lot to sit down and think about. All right, so after the first day, the crowds are almost non-existent on the 5th of September. There's a movement in the community to keep children at home, white children at home, to protest integration by saying, fine, I'm not sending my child to school. And this was brought to Superintendent Norris and the school board in Montgomery County. And their response was, you are violating the law. If you do not send your children to school, then you're violating the law of the land and you will be prosecuted. And with that, the real opposition sort of crumbles. And not that these kids didn't deal with issues every day, but the sort of official complaints and those kinds of things stop. Protest is gone. There's no protest here. By the end of the first week of school, there's nothing. The children who said, the parents who said, I'm not sending my children to school, sent their children to school. And it ends up becoming the first stage in integration. This was an early integration, but what makes this important is not that there was an early integration. Lower part of Montgomery County had integrated several schools the year before. It is early, right? The Supreme Court decisions in 54, and they said we're going to announce in 55 what you should do. So Montgomery County was ahead of the curve in a lot of ways in terms of segregated schools desegregating because of Brown v. Board. Obviously, there were many schools in the north who weren't segregating. So what makes this important is this is the first place in the region and one of the first places in the country where there's opposition to integration, where it's active. You had to have the police here, right? This got the attention of the entire region, and to a lesser extent, it got the attention of the country. We are going to have issues as we integrate. All right. Now, what happens here is going to be way overshadowed, as it should be historically, by what happens in Little Rock, where you have to actually call out the Army, right? And the National Guards, and you have all of this craziness. And the Little Rock 9 goes down in American history, as they should. But what is fascinating to me is that if you go to Central High in Little Rock, which is now a museum, and you look at their display, they talk about Poolesville. They talk, right? And so this mattered, this was important, and it happened here in your school, and probably deserves to be sort of recognized in some way, shape, or form. So that's really it. Thank you.